Welcome to my video on testing a decade resistance box for accuracy. What I'm doing in this video is I just purchased a decade resistance box for some of my measurements and experiments, and it came, frankly, all the instructions were in Chinese and I can't read Chinese, so I'm trying to investigate this box to see if it's useful. And so that's what I'm doing. And the methodology I'm using here, I've got a computer generated. I have the computer generate 10 random input resistances from 1 to 999 ohms because that's the range that the decade resistance box covers. And then I added the 1 and 999 ohms to that random, so I have 12 test points now. And I did not test the fractional scale. It's got a fractional scale, which is a fraction of an ohm, but due to the contact resistance, that's just not practical. So I just left that at 0. So I'm going to give you a video next. I'm going to test these 12 input values. I'm going to record the resistance, and I've got an Astron digital multimeter that I'm going to record the values with. So it should be fairly accurate. And this is going to be the video next where I'm going to do the actual measurements. I'll kind of narrate this as I go along. The first one I started out with 1 ohm, and I got 2.7 ohms out. And then the next one I'm going to go to 7254 ohms, 7,254 ohms. And then I'm going to measure 7,222 out, or 7,220. Next one I'm going to go to 356. So I set my tens, my hundreds, tens, and ones, 356. I got 356.7 out, right around that range. It's last digits flashing a little bit. Now I'm going to go to 5732. And my resistance measured was 5729. Next, I'm going to go to 5754, 5,754, and I'm going to get out 5,749. Next, I'm going to go to 6529. And I'm going to get out 6520. The next is going to be at 372 ohms is my input value. So at 372, and then I've got out 376. Now I'm going to go to 7713 ohms, and I'm going to get out 7690. Next, I'm going to go to 3819. Going to get out 3823. Now I'm going to 957 ohms. And I'm going to get out 960. It's going to be the measured value of the resistance across a decade resistance box. The 11th reading, I'm going to 1015. And the measured value is 1017. And then I'm going to do my final measurement at 9,999 ohms, the top of the scale on this box. Okay, we got out 9980. So after this, I'm going to go through, stop my test here, and start looking at results. Okay, this is the tabular results of the measurements I just took and you just saw. So these are the resistance values that I set on the decade resistance box, and these are the measured values out. And the next I'm going to do is look at plot these. So now this is a plot of the decade resistance box accuracy test. So what I've done here on the x-axis, this is the value actually set into the resistor box, and then this is the measured value on the Astron digital multimeter. And you can see the line here is pretty good. I mean, there's not a huge deviation from the yellow dots is the measured value, and then this, I just drew a line through it to show, so it's pretty good accuracy there. I mean, that's all right. Now I did a residual plot, and when I looked at the absolute hour error, basis the input value and then what was measured by the multimeter, and you can see I've got not huge. This is kind of my worst case here, about 30 ohms difference. And considering it's nearly 7,000, I forget the number that is exactly, but that's a pretty small percentage. So what can I conclude from this measurement? The measured values tracked the set values closely, following almost exactly along an ideal line of y is equal to x. And the only significant deviation is at 1 ohm, where the percentage error is 170% due to the box's internal contact resistance and lead contacts becoming significant at very low settings. So what this is, for very small resistances, that's why I didn't even test the 0.1 scale. Below a few ohms, your contact resistance, where you're connecting the ohm meter to your resistance, becomes significant. And so that's something you need to be real careful with. There's other techniques of measuring small resistance, but ohm meters below a few ohms, they're always a little questionable. So at the mid-high range resistances, it was well below the 0.05% error, which is excellent. And so in my conclusion is the box passed the test, and now I'm going to be able to use it in further experiments and measurements. Well, if you got a little bit out of this video and learned how to test something and analyze the results. And if you did, give me a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.